Hey, how's it going? So, excuse me 1 second. Heck's the volume on this thing? Yeah, that was a little louder than I wanted it to be. Okay, so this is part two of Batman superheroes and vigilantes and us. And this part, I hope that I can keep it short. This is the third attempt, and I just am ready to be done with it. But this part two is mainly about the and us part, and I'm gonna use as a contrasting point of reference human people, us right now in reality, uh, juxtaposed with the superheroes. And the superheroes I chose for this was The Boys, and that is a production that is on Amazon television now, but it's an adaptation of a graphic novel. And so I was not aware of the graphic novel, before I became aware of the show, and I still haven't read the books, but I've seen on YouTube lots of stuff about the comic. And it's not, like a lot of comics, one starts out and then it has offshoots, and so this does it well. And I look forward to, you know, um, oh, maybe they'll have it at the public library. I have to read it soon, though, when it's safe to go out again. Okay, so the reason why I chose The Boys is because they a lot of the people in that show are supers, and the ones that aren't have been enhanced in the same way that the supers have. And so, oh, sorry, I just started rambling and I didn't do any of my official stuff. I'll just interrupt myself to say this is for entertainment purposes. It's just my opinion, and I'm just reflecting on media and society as usual. And so this is not really intended for kids. I'm not selling anything, and I'm not monetized. The music I will credit at the end in the information box. I just have it on for a nice, vibe here on this side of the screen. So, to continue, I chose The Boys, as I said, because as I was getting to, some of the people in the show, the primary people, the main ones that you see all the time, the core cast, a lot of them are supers. Others, as I said, have been enhanced in the same way that supers have. Oh, that's what I left out. Here comes a spoiler. I always spoil. It'll be in on the YouTube information, but I'm just saying so right now. There's spoilers gonna happen. So either be aware of that and continue to watch, or don't. That's up to you. So, yeah, they, the core cast, a lot of them, whether they're supers or not, have come into contact with the compound, which is called Compound V, I believe. And it's a chemical substance that, I mean, it's like a super duper steroid, and also just like a whack you out drug too, because there's an addiction involved. If they abuse it, I don't know. I mean, I do know. I'll not share why some people are addicted to it and some are not. You can enjoy finding that out for yourself. But the point is that just because they're super, they are still people, and they're still like human people. So they have those same predilections for, you know, uh, bad behavior like domestic abuse or addiction to substances. Like, there's a lot of heavy drinkers on here on this show. Not here where I am, but in The Boys. And there's just a lot of people doing very human things, and there's stress, there's anxiety, there's people playing games with each other, there's people just overpowering other people, and I mean that in like a mental and physical sense. So okay, another one that is kind of, I mean, really, if there's gonna be like a star slash good guy slash bad guy slash guy you love to hate but you can't stop watching, it would be Homelander. Okay, and he's played by an actor named Anthony Starr, um, and he is kind of a blend between Superman and Captain America, I guess. Very like uber ultra patriotic and walking symbol of truth, justice, and the American way. But the thing is with these people, because of all of these like pretty normal issues that they all have some kind of going on, they're really not like these fantastic, magnificent, infallible people. In fact, quite the opposite. When they go to like rescue people and help a situation, often they just make things extremely horribly worse. And you gotta laugh. Well, if you're me, you gotta laugh. Because I can see how we do monstrous and horrible things, and some of us might be chemically altered or suffering from some sort of, mental intrusion affecting us, and just, same kind of stuff that can happen to people, except that we as individuals are not strong enough, or nor do we have like fire laser eyes, to be as destructive as a super is, especially like as they are on the show. Because oh my, if you like destruction and surprise, shock, gross outs that are so appalling but also make you laugh, sort of, in the way of Deadpool. Uh, it's a lot. This show is a lot. It's very enjoyable though, and it's something I realized as I was sort of setting up to do these episodes is that The Boys is, I believe, is a British comic. It has a lot of, I don't, it's just my impression, but it seems to me that there's a lot of sort of Canadian stuff in there too, and I know that's like a colony of Great Britain, or yeah, England. Anyway, maybe, and I don't know, maybe I'm wrong about where the artist is from, but I thought it was England, could be Canada. Maybe that's my confusion. But anyway, it was interesting when I learned that the characters don't really come off as completely uh, uh, authentically, sorry, I was getting something in Ultimate mixed up, but authentically American. Like, there's definitely, it's overblown, it's bigger, it's more extreme, which, of course, in something like the production or even the comic, it's going to be like that. It's part of the story. It's telling some truth, I think. But, you could kind of tell that, like, something's kind of off. Something's weird. Like the person that wrote the script for it and drew the pictures, they may well have spent time here or live here, but it's a different perception than we have of ourselves. Unless we're very self-aware, and a lot of us, judging from the stuff that I hear like famous people say in front of cameras and microphones all the time, we're not that self-aware at all. But I was not upset by it. I'm not insulted by it. In fact, I appreciated the first time that I realized this phenomenon. Was when I started seeing the Watchmen. When Watchmen came out, I worked at a comic book store at the time, and so I knew that was not written by an American, and it wasn't the most flattering portrayal of Americans, even if it's about fictional people with fictional characteristics and abilities. It's still somebody's idea of your country and by extension you. So some people get very upset if that's not totally flattering all the time. But like I said, sometimes we're self aware and sometimes we're not. And so I see us as, I feel like sometimes like I'm not from here because I see some of us talking one way, and then they do that stuff here too, the big rah rah America talk, where like, yeah, hi, we are living here and we know that that may not be all entirely the truth there, what you're saying for everyone. Might not be the case that everything's the greatest and nothing's wrong, and you know but to see someone else's perception was informative and I appreciate it. But yeah, just as I suspected, apparently we look like big mouth, overblown clowns to other people from other countries too. Like, duh. um but it's kind of instructive to me, though. Getting back to the boys with the same situation going on, I don't know really like what my own voice sounds like unless I listen to a recording. So in the same way, I don't know like what I look like. If you look at yourself in a mirror, like if you look at yourself standing in a full length mirror, it's almost like looking at a photograph, even though you can move around and stuff. Because what you can see is only what's there at that angle at the time you happen to be looking, and then as soon as you move, that's gone, and it's not the same as when you're looking at someone else head to foot to see, if they ask, how does this look, how do I look, it's not the same. I mean, maybe it's the picture thing I just said that is like the difference. I don't know. That's not important. It's just what is that I was trying to get across about the perception thing and self perception and other people's perception, and all of those things together end up making something like a show like Watchmen or The Boys. Because then you have then you have this okay, real quick. Then you have this perception by the actors of what the person wants, and they're going to be like all races and country of origin, and their stuff is going to come in too. So, but that's kind of like real life in America. I mean, there's people here, and everybody, especially with social media making it so much more instantaneous to share your opinion and cause a reaction and be reactive, and we all are, maybe it's not the healthiest medium, and we'd probably abuse it like we do a lot of things, most things, because we're human. That's something most of us go through, even I think if you don't do things that you can, like if you don't drink or take drugs or smoke, you're still in some way going through a set of experiences with them, like people around you are totally doing it all the time. And like, before we kind of made smoking a no-no in public places, God, we were just gassing everybody out. As a child, I'm getting totally sidetracked, but it's all about humanity and being human, like weaknesses and strengths, and when those are real and when they're just what we think, and what we think is not quite on the money. But those characters on The Boys, I had a whole long thing, did all this like notes and blah blah blah, but I mean, I have them handy. I'm just gonna skip all that because the point is that to me, all of those supers and a lot of the just aside characters, like the supers are not the boys for those who don't know about that, like if this is the first time you're hearing about it, the boys are a group in the story, but they're not the supers, not officially. Um, just that we as people right now, obviously we're all sort of off kilter by the situation, like the natural disasters, and worrying about it if you're there, and worrying about people if you just are compassionate, or you have relatives or loved ones of some type in a place where something like that is happening. Everybody's emotions are heightened, and everyone has a lot more free time. And it's funny because I had this thought. See, I spend a lot of time alone anyway. That's just situation normal for me. I'm not married, I don't have kids, so I don't have, and I don't live in my hometown, so I don't have like a lot of traffic socially, in person. And I spend a lot of time alone, and I don't know, I am introspective, I get introspective, and I don't see how spending time alone or alone with people that you live with, where at some point the games are you're gonna be done with the watching stuff, you're gonna be like ready to be finished for a while, like all of the distractions. If there's other people in your vicinity, you are gonna be talking to them. If there's not, you're basically gonna be talking to yourself, whether you do it out loud, which I do all the time. I don't care if people think you're nuts for doing that. I think, who cares what people think, you're not talking to them. Yeah, but I think people are sort of not dealing well with those realities of, when all of the gadgets and goodies are like, you're bored with them, you're done, you can't look at another screen. At some point you just have to surrender and relax into reality again. Like, it's not as colorful, it doesn't have a soundtrack unless you put something on. Everything's not stylized and cute and or beautiful like it is on, your screens. Even if it's like a, a live action, that's not the real, total, true representation of how those people actually look. Because I grew up in Hollywood, so I got to see a lot of people in stage makeup, is what I'm saying. Oh, that reminds me. A lot of times I hear people talking about, the president's bronzer or his tanning liquid or whatever. I think he's wearing stage makeup. That's what it totally looks like when you see like some actor from like Happy Days at the convenience store, and they're just on a quick break and they ran over to get a pack of cigarettes or whatever it is that made them leave the studio, and you see them and you see that, like, whoa, their hands are like normal white person's color hands. They are like peach to orange, and that's why I think that's what he wears. And he is Mr. TV. I'm sure he's been wearing makeup for a while. It's pretty well known he dyes his hair. Okay, why am I talking about that? Oh, just that I don't think it's like any tanning box or, bronzer. I think it's stage makeup that has him that color. Okay, moving on. Um, uh, so yeah, I mean, they take that stuff off if you see them. See, again, because I lived in Hollywood, I got to see a lot of people in stage makeup, and then I got to see a lot of entertainers, just as themselves. And like, men generally don't wear makeup, so they really look real. But women too. Like, if you're just walking down the street, you're not gonna have big, loud, huge makeup that needs to be seen from like 60 feet away or more. They're just their regular thing. And I don't know, maybe that's hard for some of us to look at as another metaphor. You get in there and you're with yourself and your family after a while, and you're like done with the pretense. And maybe that's when like real talk happens, and that's what a lot of us avoid. We got a lot of stuff in this country that we don't real talk about. We go around it and we make useless fluffy statements, and we have the economy collapsing, and that is not the fault of the average American consumer. I don't know what our government guys are thinking right now, but I mean, just as a lump, they don't like poor people. They really don't like homeless people. They don't care why or how. They're just immediately denigrated and in the way. And oh my God, so inconvenient that you have to step over them. Hello? They don't have a bathroom. They don't have a room. You're inconvenienced. Whoa. That's that's like a I don't know how you don't like cross that breach. Okay? But so they don't like poor people, they don't like homeless people, and yet they have done nothing to prevent, like, sounds like millions of people from becoming homeless now. They want you to go out and work because capitalism, because the keeping the money rolling through their pockets is more important than the life of you or your people around you. Sending them to school when it's dangerous for everyone involved to go and congregate. And we know this, like, nothing's changed, nothing's happened to prevent things from, happening to people, like to keep people from getting sick. Our president has a grudge with Democrats, so he doesn't help those states. So he's not helping the whole West Coast, basically, with fires or COVID because he doesn't like those governors. And he thinks the Democrats that didn't vote for him and whatever people that don't like him should have to suffer and not have any help from the government. Not because the government doesn't have the money, but because he won't do what the government is supposed to do because he's got a grudge. And I only bring that up because there are lots of Republicans in all three of these Western states. What are you doing to those people, bro? I thought you wanted your people to love you. I thought you wanted people in general to love you. I thought you wanted to be the favorite president. It's not going to get you my favorite anything except something negative that I don't care to share here. And again, it's not just him though. His colleagues are going along with it, his Republican colleagues, and it's weird. Like, do they not realize how cruel and mean and uncaring and selfish they're coming off? I don't know. But I guess in the context of the boys, they'd be Vought, VOUGH, which is sort of a mega corporation that more or less created the supers, created the seven, and market them, and that's why they even exist, except for the compound V. And I won't say more than that because I don't want to talk much longer and spoil much for you. So I think I'm done. I think the point that I wanted to make, if it wasn't clear, let me try to summarize here. We're all sort of acting on our worst impulses or any impulses, like I don't like this word, but the Karen phenomenon, or the mask tantrums, or the, insistence on toting around artillery to prove a point to strangers about you, which negligible that those people care about anything more about you than holy crap, this dude's got a gun and I hope he can keep it together and not start shooting people like the kid in Wisconsin. Because that's one of my sort of things about this whole gun loving mania that I'm uncomfortable with, is just kind of been walking on eggshells for years waiting to hear that one of them just like said, okay, I don't care what happens, I'm just gonna do it because I just want to. And this, unfortunately, period that we're in right now is we've been building up to it because certain people are treated under the law as the law is stated, and other people are completely exempt from the law, and that's been getting worse over the years. And the people just observing it, like, I don't want to live in a society where we're just, some of us are killing some of the others of us. We're not each other's enemies. We live in the same country. That makes us the same people. We have differences, obviously, but we're all Americans. We're all citizens here, and the other people that are here visiting or new or whatever the reason is, they're human beings. There's no reason that we're treating people like such trash, or that we're allowing it to go on and being so quiet about it, because eventually it's going to touch you. And unfortunately, that seems to be the thing that makes most people suddenly realize, like, oh, I care about this, and oh, this is what those other people that have been saying all this time were talking about. I get it now, and I would love that it didn't get to the point that it has with us, because even the reasons why the pandemics and epidemics happen are because of our sort of disregard for each other that extends to the planet, which is, I mean, let's face it, it's a part of us. We eat vitamins and minerals. Well, where do you think we get the minerals from? The ground. They're dirt and rocks. We're dirt and rocks and water. Okay, I'm glad that I did this. I hope that after I watch the playback, it meets my, expectations, that it's good enough for me to finally be done talking about this stuff. I won't be done talking about this stuff, but I will have finished part two of my little thesis. So I thank you for your attention if you chose to watch, and, uh, you know, stay well, stay safe. Thank you, and good night.